Hello and welcome to our third of our Global CTI Web Education sessions. In this month's session, we are going to cover some ground regarding how do I know I'm a contact center. This topic was spurred mostly through interactions with our existing customer base as we go through and design solutions for our customers that include phone systems, and they tell us they have certain teams of people who answer phone calls. What we found is that a lot of them, although they didn't realize it, could greatly benefit from using contact center technology. And so really what that means and the elements around that, questions to ask yourself are what we're going to be covering today. So Global CTI, just a quick overview of who we are. We are a business communication solution provider. We are headquartered in Bakersfield, California, with offices in Irvine, California, and remote offices across the state, mostly the southern portion of California. We try to focus on what's in the best interest of our clients, and our solutions are very easy to manage and simple to use. They enable organizations of any size to seamlessly integrate all their communications, whether that's voice, data, video, messaging, back-end data that helps supplement their voice or messaging, and incorporate all of that into better business processes for them. And we accomplish this with a world-class implementation approach that ensures success and includes ongoing support plans that are customly aligned to any of our customers' needs. So that's a little bit about who we are. And today's topic is really contact centers, and we're talking about, am I a contact center, and how do I know if I am? So contact centers exist for many purposes. They can be customer service. That's probably the most well-known reason. You call in for customer service. You need to place an order or check the status of an order. If you have a technical product, you might need some sort of support for your product, whether that's repair, upgrade support, things like that. Inside sales teams can be contact centers. So I might have an 800 number and people can call and sign up as new customers. I might have a team of people in an inside sales environment. That's not to preclude outside sales from also being part of contact teams as well. Many contact centers exist for outbound telemarketing purposes as well, either to existing customer bases or for a business-to-business type marketing. And some people don't think about this, but internal departments can also take advantage of contact center technology. An internal help desk. You may have an IT team internal to your company, and folks may call that team, and maybe you get more calls than you have IT help desk numbers, and you need to queue those calls or let those people kind of wait and receive some messaging while they're in wait. Some people feel like, we're not big enough to be a contact center. And our experience is that contact centers don't need to be any certain size to be a contact center. So even very small teams can have very intricate routing needs. And sometimes the smaller your team is, the more important it is that you get your customers to the right resource or into the right queue initially. So the level of sophistication of your contact center isn't really dependent on the size. Technical requirements range anywhere from very simple call routing and hunting, where folks may just want to be able to tag some metrics to how many calls come in from different 800 numbers, to very complex routing tables where people may call in, and once they enter an ID, we may need to route them based on a language preference or a selection they make from a menu of items that they're presented with. And we may need to route those people to specific skill-based groups. We may route them also based on customer information that we derive from a database lookup, and we'll get into a little bit more about what that means here later. So some questions to kind of initially ask yourself to get yourself thinking, am I a contact center? Are you looking for improved responsiveness to your customer calls or requests? Do you need to increase the efficiency with which your calls or requests are completed or resolved? Do calls come in and hit one person but then have to route to another person who may or may not be the right person to answer that? Do you need to increase the productivity of your sales team or the people who answer these groups of phones? Are they or do you have visibility over what's happening with these teams? This is something that a lot of people who have simple ring groups or maybe hunt groups in their telephone systems don't really get a lot of information on, both real-time and historically. Are you seeing how your team is performing and how the calls are being addressed? And you need to improve the metrics by which the contact center is measured and managed. So if you're not taking any measurements of how your team is performing or how many calls you're coming in, it's really hard to manage what you can't measure, and we'll talk about that more as well. And you need to provide increased convenience to customers. We have some customers of ours who realize that people having to either send in payments or do online payments sometimes isn't enough. Some people don't have access to internet, and so they want to be able to offer payments by the phone or automated features or functions for their customers, so they don't have to wait in line to speak to a sales rep or a customer service representative. And really what I find is that beyond those simple ring groups or simple contact needs where people call into your business, what most contact centers tell me that they need to have, or when I identify a customer as someone who's going to probably need more advanced contact center functionality, these are some of the needs I run into. They need to route customers to differently skilled agents. Maybe that's based on a skill set of the agent. Maybe someone knows this technology and these other group of agents know a different technology. Or maybe it's a language. Maybe I have different, maybe I have a lot of Spanish-speaking or other language-speaking customers who call in. Secondly, they need to route customers based on the phone number of the customer or maybe the geographic location of the customer. This is really common when I have groups of sales, inside sales teams. Certainly some sales reps cover only a certain geography. So having the customer's phone number automatically be identified and routed to the sales rep who handles that territory is very convenient. Do you need to queue your customers, or do you have customers who call in and get busy signals or who have to wait at a reception desk before they're sent to someone who's available? Do you need the system to automatically queue those customers and give them some comfort messages or hold messages? Do you need to route customers to different groups or agents based on their priority? And maybe you have customers who are high volume customers who you want to get them to one of your highly skilled agents quickly. Maybe different customers pay for different level service levels with your organization. So getting those customers to the right team quickly is important. And a lot of people who tell me they need contact center software technology need it because they want to track the reason that people are calling. You may need to staff differently based on the types of calls that you're getting. So are people calling to make orders, or are they calling to inquire about orders? Do people have technical questions but they're calling a different support line or a different number? Are your customers getting to the right place based on the numbers they're calling? And importantly, are you tracking the employees, your salespeople, or your customer support people? Are you tracking their time on the phone versus their breaks or being away from the phone? We call these either auxiliary codes or release codes that people might want to track. Did all my employees take their proper 15-minute and 30-minute breaks throughout the day? How do you know that if you don't see where they're taking those time out in the phone system? And do you know if you have the right number of staff for this heavy call volume times? Many of my customers say, you know what, I think that on Mondays and definitely Tuesdays after a holiday, we get slammed with a lot of calls, and I feel like people wait longer during those times. But we really don't have any way to show that or prove that. And then if you need to offer your customer different options if you can't answer their call right away. So these are, again, this is if you're needing to queue those customers to wait during those busy times. Do you have a way to offer any convenience things to those customers, like receiving a call back or the ability to leave a voice message and receive a call back later when your team is less busy? Do you have customers that require different levels of response? And do you need to make or track outbound calls? A lot of my customers are outbound calling. They have a lot of outbound calling activity, callbacks to customers and things like that. Some folks want to automate those callbacks so that they don't have to rely on an agent to remember to pick up the phone. They'll have the contact center system automate outbound calls to customers based on either expiration dates of warranties or upcoming appointments or delivery dates. So some more questions to consider. Do you have a need for the callers in different queues to hear different messages while they're waiting in queue? You may have callers who call in to a support line and they need to hear tips on how to get self-support, or maybe websites to visit for FAQs or frequently asked questions. Maybe that's the whole messaging that you want your support line to hear, but people who call into your sales line, you want them to hear messages based on the new product offers that you have or any promotions you might be running. So being able to optimize the messages to different types of callers is important. How many different music selections or custom messages do you need? And do you have a need for priority queuing those different level customers? If you offer service level agreements based on platinum, silver, or gold type level, whatever your priorities are, does that platinum customer get placed in front of the line versus someone who doesn't pay for an extended level of service? Do you have groups of higher skilled agents that you want to answer certain calls before lower skilled agents are offered the call? So maybe you just have a preference for some of your agents to answer these calls, but if they're not available, you're okay with a lower skilled agent, and having a system that can automate that. Would your customers benefit if you offered multiple language support? And would different customers require different menu options? During those menu options, would those menu options change based on certain responses? So in other words, if I answer, that I need to go to sales, do I then need to give that caller a different priority based on their caller ID? Or maybe I change the menu options that they get based on a response that they give me in one of the previous menus. Can I offer outbound calls to my customers as reminders instead of waiting in queue to speak to an agent? And here's another thing to consider. A lot of my contact center agents or customers need access to different types of data. You may have an ERP system or a CRM system, so a customer relation management or a resource planning system. And you may have some data in that system that if you could grab some of that data might help you route your calls more efficiently. So in other words, if you provide customer service, do you have either an account number or a loyalty program ID that will help you identify who that customer is that's calling and let your CRM system uniquely identify that customer? If you provide technical support, do you keep ticket numbers that you could track that customer based on a ticket number? Basic phone numbers that can match to the customer's file in your either customer relationship management system or ERP system. And reaching out to customers with an automated outbound call, like appointment reminders or service status updates. Are these dates or reminders stored in your database somewhere? And then do your account reps handle certain accounts based on territories, right? So all of this data could reside in some of your systems, and a contact center system can usually tap into those and provide some advanced features based on the input that they get from the customer or that's automatically identified from the customer. So when you optimize and customize your customer's experience with you, they're handled more efficiently, they're happier. If we tap into that data we just talked about when we answered some of those questions, if we want to make some customized routing decisions based on that data, I can use a customer loyalty number and see, boy, is this a customer who does a lot of buying from me? I'm going to prioritize this. I can check my database and see that this customer put in 12 orders last month. Average customer only puts in 2 or 3, so I want to get this person to one of my order takers right away. Again, is this a customer who pays for advanced types of service, or are they just one of my more specialized customers? In healthcare, we see a lot of our healthcare customers say, certain doctors' offices do more referrals to us than others, and so we like to get those doctors ahead of any of the other calls that are waiting. And then that different hold experience. So if I check in my database and see that this customer is a high volume customer, maybe I offer them a different promotion set than I would a brand new customer who might be offered a new customer promotion. And then again, you can always offer callbacks instead of having those customers wait in queue. So if you gather the customer's caller ID through the call, you can just let them opt out to receive a callback. that data not only helps your customers to be prioritized and to receive faster service from you, but the database data that we could gather using a contact center type system also helps your internal employees be more efficient. So we can use data that we capture from the caller, whether they input it or whether it's an automatically matched, and then provide that data to your agent when they answer the call. Nothing's more frustrating to a customer than entering a customer ID or a number to be routed to the proper support place within your organization, only to have the agent who picked up the phone ask them to repeat that number. So we want to make sure that we can provide that number to your team, to your agents or your sales team, so that when they answer the call, they already have the customer's information in front of them. Hey, thank you, customer A, I see here that you're calling, and they can have a more customized greeting. If they entered a service ticket number, that customer rep can already have that customer's service ticket in front of them and already be seeing what they might be calling about and not have to have the customer repeat troubled information. They can say, I already see your ticket here that you've called on. I see that you might be calling back with information for us. So the customer is really relieved they don't have to tell their entire story again to another person. And we can also use that ticket information to get that caller directly to the agent or the technical rep who handled their last call. So if you have any sort of those types of needs, those are definitely things we do with contact center technology. Now remember, contact also means more than a phone call. So we're talking a lot about people who may be calling in. In fact, we used to use the word call center, but we're moving away from that. And we really refer to our technology more as contact center because we integrate a number of different access modalities into our system, including email and web chat. So a lot of my customers say, oh no, we can track the number of calls that come in, but did you know that your agents are also answering emails from your customers, and are you tracking that activity? So if you need to track the number of emails and the response time to those emails, a lot of customer service places, you can go to their website and you can email for support and they'll say, you'll be answered within 24 hours, but are you really meeting that SLA that you've given your customers? So being able to track that responsiveness to your customers and from your agents to your customers is important for some organizations. Web chat is also a feature that a lot of people are starting to offer. So if you have a customer who's browsing your website, maybe after they've been on there for 30 seconds or a minute, you might want to offer them to chat with someone in your sales team in case they have a question they're searching for and can't find on your website. So more and more customers are becoming web savvy, and they really like these alternate forms of contact. People don't like waiting waiting on the phone if they don't have to. And so if I can just text someone a question over your website and get a response back quickly, that could be a nice thing to offer. If we get emails and route them directly to the specific agent, maybe we use that data that we collected from your database, matching email addresses to the right agent. If I get an email to the right agent, they're going to respond faster and I'm going to have a happier customer. And then offering that option to chat online is appealing. A lot of customers are becoming more and more web savvy, especially if you're in sales. If you sell a product, nowadays customers don't necessarily always go to the store and talk to somebody initially. A lot of customers do their research online before they even step into your store. So getting them the best information you can immediately while they're surfing the web is going to be a benefit to you. Also for offering service. If someone's frustrated with a product and they can chat quickly online. Some people prefer that. And then data gathering and connecting to an intelligent routing source. Using the data from your databases, even using email or web chat interfaces can help you get your customer faster and easier support. So another option that we see a lot implemented with our contact center opportunities customers is that they want to offer self-service. So another way to get your customers what they need is by allowing them to do things on their own through a phone call into your support center. So some customers may be able to help themselves check a balance or ticket status. Anything that's repetitive that is something that you can automate and take that time back from those agents, those live agents who might be handling more unique needs, and let customers kind of self-service through those. A lot of people like those options, like making a payment. So some questions to consider if you could offer self-service options. And we offer self-service in a number of different categories. I'll go through some of them here. But is there a possibility to automate repetitive tasks like checking an RMA status of an order, a shipping notification, making a payment, or checking a balance? Cities, sales organizations, service organizations. There's so many different types of companies out there, and just about every one of them who has a customer call them for any reason could probably automate some of that information back to a customer. What types of services are now provided by live agents that could be handled by those self-service options? And maybe that's based on time of day. Maybe you want to be able to offer some simple status checks or some simple self-service options during the hours that you don't have your team staffed. And would customers benefit if they were able to speak those commands versus navigating them through pressing a DTMF code on their phone or a button on their phone? And then does your application need text entered into it? So if you have a self-service application, do you need people to speak numbers and dates and currencies back? Or do they need specific information like the name of, if you're a healthcare organization, maybe people want to check an appointment date and time and you need to read back that doctor's name and the clinic location or something like that. All of those options are available and can really help customers in self-service, and it can help your organization as well. Another thing to consider is, do you hear the voice of your customer? So a lot of my contact centers are asking us for ways that they can gather feedback from their customers. If you don't ask, you don't know. So getting feedback is a nice way, and doing that in an automated fashion frees your agents from having to take surveys. So some folks are emailing surveys out to their customers, but sometimes people want to do that in a phone call, or you may want to offer your customers at the end of their phone call an option to take a survey and give them some scaled yes or no response questions. Were all of your needs met during this call? Was your customer service or was the representative who helped you friendly during your call? Were all of your needs met in your first call? You can capture those responses and then feed them back into either your database or pull reports and give them to management to see how effective you're doing with your teams and if your customers are getting what they need. If someone answers with low responses in a survey, right there during that survey, instead of waiting to get the results and maybe a week later someone contacts them, if I say I had a horrible experience in my responses and I say no to everything that should be a yes, maybe before they hang up on that survey, we route them back to a supervisor who can ask them some more detailed questions and turn an unhappy experience into a better experience by getting them some immediate help and feedback. You can measure each call, and then you can also rank your process improvements over time with surveys. And the last area I'm going to focus on for whether or not you're a contact center, a lot of people may not need advanced routing. They may be happy with just calls ringing in, but they don't know how many calls are ringing in. A lot of my customers say, I think I'm busy on Mondays and Fridays. I think that we get more hang-ups during that time, but I just don't know. They may not know whether they're staffed properly. Do I have more agents than I need on a Tuesday or Wednesday and during that slow time, and could I be using those agents for other tasks instead of just having them sit and wait for calls? So if you don't have any metrics to measure that, how do you know if you're as efficient as you can be? Measuring agent performance, how much time they're on the phone versus out on a break. We call those release codes, and those are very helpful. Do you need the ability to track customer interactions from the time they entered your system to entered? Are customers making the wrong choices through your menu options and getting to the wrong place? Do you have a way to track that? Remember that CRM database or that database that you have. Can the activity reporting that you get feed back into that database and enhance your processes? And a terminology that gets thrown around a lot in the contact center world is KPIs, or those key performance indicators. So what are your company's key performance indicators? Is it sales volume? Is it number of calls? Is it time speaking to customers on the phone? Are all of those indicators of optimal performance? And can you tie those those metrics back to customer data. In other words, how many times did your high volume customers call you last month? Do you have low volume customers, people who don't buy a lot but call a lot? Do you have kind of, lack of a better term, we call those time wasters? Do you have a way to identify those customers, and can you prioritize other callers ahead of them? Would you have better data, and would you staff differently if you knew what the answers to some of these questions were? You may not know if you need differently skilled agents based on the type of customers that are calling, but if you can start to measure that, then that's one of the things that's helpful. So being able to report on that data means better tracking of employee productivity, better prediction of staffing levels, a better indicator of who's calling and why they're calling. You can report back to customers the value they get from your high priority service. You can give actual metrics and tag those to the service levels agreements that you've agreed to for your customers. So if you tell customers, we respond to all emails within 24 hours, if you have some metrics you can actually apply to that. Maybe you keep a customer dashboard that says, we've been tracking, responding to emails within 13 hours so that customers know that you're within that 24-hour response time. And then in real time, so not only historically analyzing data, but in real time, minute by minute, second by second, are you seeing how effective your team is? Contact center technology gives you access to what we call real-time reports. So this is the actual calling data that is sample kind of real-time report or dashboard that we would track to see where our different geographical teams, how they're performing throughout the day, how many calls have they taken, how much time have they spent on the phone versus idle. So you get some real-time data so that you can kind of adjust on the fly, as well as that historical data that lets you plan for future planning. And one of the things that all of this data gives you is the ability to see if you're getting to something in the contact center world. We call it first call resolution, or FCR. So first call resolution is really a goal that you might have as an organization for customers to get the service they expect or pay for and the results they need fully resolved in their first phone call to you, hopefully with the first person they speak to. So are you tracking if customers are coming in, did they get to the right team? If they got to the right team, did that team member have the skills to solve their problem on that first call? It sure is a nice customer experience, even if you're having trouble with the product, but if you call and within a few moments get immediately to the right person and get your problem solved, you'll have a happier customer. And getting your callers to the right resource in the least amount of time. So prioritizing those callers based on whatever metrics you need. And the information contained in your database, remember, let's use that to work for your clients to get them to the right place the first time with the right priority. And I always like to end with kind of a little reminder that in the contact center world, we really focus on measuring and managing, and really it's hard to manage something that you can't measure. That measurement leads to data based on actual results and can eventually lead to process improvements. So we encourage our customers, gather as many metrics as you can and then optimize your customer experience based on that data. Route and optimize your customers to the right place using data, and report and track your customer's experience from the moment they enter your system until the moment they hang up, or until their experience is done with multiple calls. Track that and use that in your process improvement steps. And hear the voice of that customer. Give them options to hear their opinion. Even if someone's frustrated, if they know you're listening to them, that can make them feel better and give you an opportunity to turn a problem into a happy customer. Okay, and remember, if you need to know more about Global CTI, you can visit our website at www.gcti.com. There's links to lots of information about contact center technology there, and contact us page, as well as feel free to call us anytime at our 800 number, 1-800-366-1711. You can press 1 for sales. And thank you for coming. Look for our future education sessions coming up in the near future.